This is Jason Clemmons, Doctor of Chiropractic at the Rock Health and Wellness Center, and this is the 2024 kickoff show. It's Tuesday, January 2nd. We're coming to you right here. We do a show. I want to give everybody that hasn't heard the show before or seen the show just a little preview, real quickly, since we're starting a new year, about what this show is all about, what we do, and we come to you from the Rock Health and Wellness Center right here in Lubbock, Texas. This is my office. I'm sitting in my office. We got a little studio put together. We got a new studio coming for you, a new set that's coming for you. So hopefully here in the next few days, we'll get all that finished and have that up and going. But we come to you every night between 6 and 7 right here. And we're doing a live radio show at the same time that we're doing live social media show. So we're on YouTube, and it's at Health from the Rock, the at sign at Health from the Rock on YouTube. We're on our Facebook page, which is the Rock Health and Wellness Centers, and we're on the on X at Dr. Jason Clemmons, I believe is what it is on X, Dr. Jason Clemmons. So you can see us on social media, but if you are watching us on social media, also understand that we are doing a live radio show every night from 6 to 7 on Walk by Faith Radio, 98.7 FM. We're also on 1420 AM, Lubbock Christian Nation. We're on 987radio.com if you want to listen to us anywhere in the world. Or you can go to the App Store and get the Live 365 app. And that will, the software that's used by the radio station will allow you to take that app. If you want to listen to the show, you can go listen to the show anywhere on your phone. And you just look for Walk by Faith Radio, and you can get it. So we come here every night. I see patients all day long. We were off today, but we will start back tomorrow with our 2024 campaign and taking care of folks and trying to get nervous systems work. I am a wellness chiropractor. I have a license of chiropractic in the state of Texas, and I am licensed to do chiropractic care in the state of Texas. The Chiropractic Act that allows me to detect and correct vertebral subluxation. And the subluxation is the word that we use on this show to make sure that we are, if I can tie it to the subluxation, it's within my scope of practice. So I don't try to be a medical doctor. I'm not interested in it. I don't try to be a nurse practitioner. I don't try to be an orthopedic surgeon. That's not my game. I'm not trying to do any of those things. I'm trying to be a wellness chiropractor, and I'm trying to take care of you from head to toe, and I'm trying to help you live as optimal life as possible. Now, inside chiropractic, there are lots of different types of chiropractors. There are chiropractors that do car wreck stuff. We don't do any of them. There's the chiropractors that do workers' comp. We don't do any of that. Never done one in my whole entire life. There's chiropractors that do pain management chiropractic. There's chiropractors who work on children, who work on just athletes, who work on who do some neurology work. There's chiropractors that are that all they do is they read X-rays and MRIs all day long. They have their diplomate in radiology. There's diplomates in orthopedics. There's all kinds of different kinds of chiropractors. So when you say, "Oh yeah, I've been to a chiropractor before," it's like saying, "I've been to a restaurant before." And it's like, well, wait a minute. What does that mean? Like, what kind of restaurant have you been to? Because there's lots of different ones. And at this one, at the Rock Health and Wellness Center, we are really focused on wellness, and we've got some ideas what that means. And we use functional neurology. So we start off with your brain first. We want your brain to function properly, and then we use all the other techniques that we have to see if we can get the rest of your body to function properly. And I've been studying this. I'm just about to start my 20th year. I got my license February. I think it was February 7th of 2005. February 7th of 2005, I believe, is when I got my license. So we're getting right up next. So we're starting it. I have completed 20 years at the end of this year to next February. So I'm just about to complete 19 years of working on patients. I got adjusted from the age of my first adjustment was at the age of 17. From the age of 17 to the age of 29, I had no idea what chiropractic was about. And then when I was 29 years old, I got into chiropractic and went to work in a chiropractic office that was run by my brother-in-law. He owned it. It was a high volume chiropractic office that did structural correction, a technique called chiropractic biophysics. And we got into working on cervical curves and lumbar curves, trying to correct postures and that type of thing. So that was my fundamental introduction into chiropractic, was right there looking at structure. And I got to study with some really cool people. I got to travel. I got to travel to Los Angeles. I got to travel to Denver. I got to spend some time in some circles that I just was really lucky that I got to spend some time in those circles in the very beginning, because of my brother-in-law's experience in chiropractic. So that gave me a good foundation. Then I went to chiropractic school the year after that, and that's kind of my chiropractic journey. Started when I was 17 years old, went through it as a chiropractic patient, not having any idea what chiropractic was, and then moved my way all the way through to working in an office, and then going through to chiropractic school. I went to chiropractic school. Started when I was 31 years old, and then graduated, and then I've been in practice 19 years. So through the journey of all this, I have come to understand that there's a few fundamental things that really do help a person in their wellness. And, we've got so many things going on now, and so many people that are talking about wellness, and so many people that are contradicting themselves. One person contradicts themselves versus another person. It's not like we're all talking about, the color blue or something, or we're not all talking about something that, like biscuits. It's like, which is a dumb thing to talk about on a wellness uh, show, but when you get into talking about wellness, there's things that just contradict themselves. And I think it creates a problem for you guys. I think it creates a problem out there for anybody that might be listening or watching the show, because it's hard to know who you're supposed to listen to. Who is going to help me guide my way through all this stuff? And how are you supposed to know who you're supposed to listen to? And so what I try to do is build fundamental things. The reason I called this office the Rock Health and Wellness Center, I was actually sitting on my couch trying to think of a name for my office. I was trying to think of a new name for my office. My kids and wife and kids were gone out of town, and I was sitting there and I was watching TV, and I had my Bible in my hand, and I was reading some scripture stuff, and I was working on some things, and I came across that scripture that said, "Build your foundation on the rock." And I was like, that's exactly what I've been searching for right there. That's what I'm talking about. So what I bring to you on this show is stuff that I try to make sure that there's some sound fundamental stuff that you can build your foundation on the rock. That if you follow some of these things that we're talking about, and that man, I think you'll do pretty good with your health. Now, if there's something that you have learned from someone else, because I'm not the end all be all of all knowledge. So if there's something that you've learned from someone else and you wonder what I think about it, then we have a text line. That the text line is 806-794-0400. 806-794-0400. And you can text that number and I will answer any of your questions. So like there's a few guys that I follow on social media that are health and wellness guys. And there's a couple guys that are health and wellness guys in my town that we all take care of patients together. And we disagree on some things. There's some things that I hear that I just don't think are necessary. That like I don't think that it's necessary for your health. I don't think that you need to follow that program. That to me, if you ask me, I will tell you. I'll tell you my opinion on it. Doesn't mean my opinion is right, but I'll tell you my opinion on it. I try to fill my head with some of the people that or listen to some of the people that have some idea about health, and then I try to take. My dad always said, hey, you got a brain, use it. So I try to take some of that information that I hear and think to myself, I just try to use my brain. Does it even make any sense? Does like I just got right before I got on the show. There's one of the 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 sites I follow on Instagram. Um, he was talking about organ meats. Well, there's another guy that's all he talks about is eating organ meats. You should eat organ meats and tallow, and get rid of spinach and broccoli. So they're bad for you. And then you got this guy, and I didn't get to really dive into that article that he was posting, but he was talking about there's no reason that organ meats should be in the diet. It's like organ meats are completely and utterly unnecessary in the human diet. And so, okay, like what are you supposed to do with that? Like Professor Bart K, physiologist and nutritionist. Now I don't know Bart. I don't know anything about him. I just saw this on this page that I follow, and so what are you supposed to do when you have contradiction in nutrition? And that's where you can try to find somebody that you can trust, that you've listened to enough. We got all our shows online starting September 1st, and you can listen to it, and you can go back and listen to this and think, um, I've got enough of shows on there now that you probably have got enough hours of me, if you want to listen to me, to determine whether or not you think I'm telling the truth, or at least do you think I believe what I'm saying. And to me, that's a big deal. Like when I listen to people, I try to listen to them for hours that way as well, and I want to know that same exact thing. Do they believe what they're saying? Whether they're saying what they're saying is right or wrong, I mean, you got to give them some slack on that, because sometimes they think they're telling they're saying things that's right, but it doesn't always end up that way. Sometimes it changes things. We learn stuff as we go along that maybe wasn't the same information that we had before. But when we told it, do we really think we're telling the truth, or do we say things that are so contradictory from one time to the next that it's pretty easy to catch us? And the more times you listen to somebody, the more you pretty much know whether or not they're lying, they're just making something up to sell you something, or are they really trying to tell you the truth based on what they know? And if you want to talk about it, this show is wide open. You can send me a text, you can send me a message on any of the social media platforms. I should get them here on the show, and I can answer that for you as well. So that's the show. That's what we do. That's what we talk about, and we keep these on our YouTube page and Facebook and X, and they should stay there forever. I don't know how long. Maybe I don't know if they get kicked off at some point, but we try to keep them on there for as long as we can, so that you can have as much information as you want. Anytime we're going through this, we have different themes of the night for the week. We try to take Monday nights and take health to church. And so I take the sermons on Mondays that I listen to on Sunday at church, and I break them down. We're going to do a little bit of that tonight, but I know it's Tuesday, but we had last night off, and so um, Monday nights is take health to church night, and then Wednesday nights we do a book review where we go through and I'll give you some information about a book that I've read or heard of or broken down or something like that. And then Thursday nights gets a little bit more technical. I want to get a little bit more technical, and then so that leaves Tuesdays and Fridays that we kind of have an open type of ideas that flow. So if you got something that you want to talk about, you can send it to me and we'll get it covered on one of those nights. Um, and I think that's it. I keep looking at the calendar thinking, hey, today is 22 months since I've had a piece of bread. So if you guys are out there and you just started your New Year's resolutions and you decided you were going to quit eating processed garbage and you were going to start changing your diet and you're going to start trying to get yourself healthier, and this is a great time. This is a great time to do it on the calendar. It's not necessarily the greatest time to do it physiologically. I think March would be a way better time to start it. But the calendar says, hey, we aren't into a new year. If you want to start it, you can start it now. But don't get frustrated about it, because this is the middle of the winter, unless you live somewhere that it's not. But we're in the middle of the winter right now in this part of the world. So, And the calendar doesn't necessarily match our physiology. We're still hibernating, kind of. But anyway, if you're into it, I just want to give you a little piece of encouragement. 22 months ago, I just decided it was March of 2021, 2021, yeah, 22, 23, no, of 22, March of 22. So I just decided that, hey, I was going to stop. I got mad, and I got mad about a specific thing. And I said, you know what? I'm not eating another bite of sugar. And pretty much, unless there's been a little bit of added sugar in some of the things, like there's a little bit of added sugar in some almond butter that I buy. I saw some little bit of added sugar in some of the sweet potatoes that we bought and that were frozen. So I'm gonna have to throw those out and restart with some of that. But as far as any sort of bread, rice, pasta, pizza. It's been 22 months since I had a piece of pizza. Corn chips. I hadn't had any chips and salsa in 22 months. No cookies, no rice, no candy bars, no ice cream in 22 months. So just to let you know that. Am I bragging about that when I say that? Absolutely not. I'm not bragging about it. If you want to have a bowl of ice cream, go ahead. Am I the fittest specimen on the planet? I don't think so. I've seen some guys that look pretty fit. I'm doing it because I have decided that sugar is detrimental to me being the best person that I can be. Those processed foods are detrimental to me being the best person that I can be. And so it took me 51 years to break that habit, and I broke it, and now it's not even a thing. I don't even care. We put our tradition in our house for my whole time that we've had kids is we fill the stockings up with Leslie gets a bunch of little goodies and stuff that she's like the stocking queen, actually. And she fills the stockings up, and she'll put in some little Reese's peanut butter cups and some little Snickers. And I'll go through as a collector and collect my tariffs from the kids on Christmas time. And so they'll have to throw me some of their Reese's cups. They used to. They don't anymore. But I had like Jacob had some of those sitting on the table over the break here, and I saw those Reese's cups, and I was like, wow, that's interesting. It's almost 22 months since I've had a Reese's cup, and it's just now it no longer has any power over me. It's just not a thing. It's not part of my life. I don't even care. It's like I'm not even. It's not. It's just not. It's just not part of me anymore. It took me a long time. And that's some of what I want to get into tonight. Is I want to get into some different ideas. I'm going to add. I'm going to start with. I'm going to start with the take health to church portion of the show because I want to talk about. I thought it was very strong. We attend Hillside Church here in Lubbock. And my daughter's been attending there for quite some time, and she talked Leslie and I to go in with her. And we'd been out of church for a little while, so we went with her, and I think it's been great. And I take my notes, and she bought me, Caitlin bought me for Christmas my own personalized leather bound with my name on it notebook, so I could start taking notes. And when instead of doing them on some little pad, this little pad that I have. I've been taking that to church with me, but now I have an official one with a beautiful little scripture on the inside and a personal note that she wrote to me. And so what I do is I take those scriptures and we talk about what the scriptures mean to our health. And they're going to start a new series now on Sunday about mental health, and I'm really looking forward to that because with the brain, I'm all about that. So the message this week was about learning how to pray scripture and actually learning how to pray and trying to use every single day in the month of January to actually pray. And he was like, look, give me 31 days, get in there and give me this whole month and get in there and actually it was 32 days because he started the day before, but his presentation was get in and pray scripture. Get in and get yourself into a position where you can dedicate some time every single day to your prayer life and start to pray and see what it does for you. And it was so easy for me to tie that one into health, because that's what a lot of us have decided to do right now. Is we've decided that, hey, okay, we're going to start, and hopefully you're still going. It's January 2nd. So if you decided to start the new year off eating right, then I hope you're still on that track. But he was talking about, he just took the Lord's Prayer and he started with the Lord's Prayer. And he was like, look, if you will pray the Lord's Prayer and you will pray it in scripture and you will break down each one of those sentences and you will deeply get into that, you can turn that prayer into a 30 or 45-minute prayer. And he did an awesome job of showing us how to do that. But the biggest thing was dedicate the time, stick with it, dedicate the time, and get going on it. And so, it was really easy. It's like, here, look. So he got the Lord's Prayer: Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. And he broke down that first sentence, and he talked about what the word hallowed means, and and the the reverence that goes along with starting off that prayer. And I know you guys are all familiar with that you're all familiar with the Lord's Prayer. So this is not anything new to you, and you've probably all done this before. But when you're starting off in health and wellness, it doesn't hurt to start off with some reverence. Like it doesn't hurt to start off with this humbleness that goes along with entering into this process and knowing that what you're dealing with is the most amazing system in the universe. Like when you start that Lord's Prayer, what you're basically doing is you're recognizing the creator of the universe and you're calling him Father. Like you're trying to create an intimate relationship right off the bat. Well, I want you to create an intimate relationship with your health right off the bat. I want you to think about how amazing you are as a human being. I want you to think about the amount of the the system that we actually get to work with. Like this system is an amazing system. If you think about the sperm and the egg that meet, and those two cells become one cell. Now think about that for a second. There's two individual cells and they merge together and they become one cell. Now, how in the world does that one cell in 9 months become a human being? Like how does that happen? Stop and think about that for just a second. Like there is an intelligence. There is an intelligence that is so great that it can grow a human being in a 9-month period of time from two cells. And you say, well, it's the DNA. Really? Have you ever seen DNA? It's just little, like look, Google and let's just do it. Like, let's just look and see what DNA looks like. Yeah, I mean, it's like, see if we can get an actual picture. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is not an actual picture, but it's close enough to say it's like, look. Yeah. So just look at that for a second. Any of these pictures that you want to look at, but just look at how this what is DNA right there. Well, just go to Google DNA structure, and look at it and see what you're telling me that somehow grew a baby like that right there. And there's somewhere, there's somehow, some way that was able, like there's some sort of intelligence in that right there that was able to grow a human being in 9 months. I don't buy that for a 1 second. That is just material. And it's just it all comes down to some sort of energy. Like it doesn't matter how you want to look at it, but and so it, just stop. Just stop for a second when you start working on your health and just realize what an amazing what an amazing thing you are. What an amazing creature you are. And there's scripture that backs that up, but we could use that Lord's prayer and just start off and just say, "Hey, our Father who art in heaven, thank you. Like thank you for creating this individual person." And let me tell you again, and we've said this before, this individual person has never existed anywhere in the history of the world. I'm the only me that's ever been in existence in the history of the world. And if you want the fulfillment of human experience, I have to be in the picture. That's how important that I am in being in the picture is it, I've got to be there. And guess what? So do you. You've got to be there too. And there is nothing that's more amazing than our human bodies and our brain. They are just amazing structures. So we're going to take a break right now on the radio. And we'll be back in just a few minutes, and we'll get through the rest of this, taking health to church, and see if we can develop our why just a little bit. So you guys hang on. We'll be right back. Yeah, so we've got a little time. If you're new to the show, first time that you've seen it, we've got about 3 minutes right now that we have that where we let the radio station run some ads and pay some bills. And so I've got this little break that's right here between for that last just about 3 minutes or so. And so I try to catch on up on some things because I know you guys are still watching it live. And just a reminder, if there's something you want to talk about, then I'd be glad to talk about it. And but if you've ever thought about exactly how amazing you are as a human being, like I remember just studying embryology and thinking about how all those cells came together. And for the first 13 days, those cells were identical. Your cells, those two, one cell went to two, and the two went to four, and the four went to eight, and the eight went to 32, and that's just the way those cells just kept going and kept going and kept going. And it was like, man, that's. And then on day 13, for some particular reason that nobody knows why, day 13, they started to differentiate. And some of them ended up with being skin cells. And some of them ended up being bone cells. And some of them ended up being organs and lining, blood vessel lining. And like they just differentiated into the pieces of you. And the very first thing that starts to develop, one of the very early things that starts to develop, is what's called the primitive streak. And the primitive streak is kind of the initial stages of the spinal cord. And so your spinal cord goes way back to the very beginning of you, and that initial phase in that primitive streak and sets the whole communication pathway that your brain is using as your brain is developing and your organs are developing, and those all kind of work off that primitive streak, and then it folds itself over to make your brain, and then it kind of closes itself off to make your vertebrae, and then you've got this your body starts to take shape. It's a it's an amazing event. That's why I always the pregnant gals that we take care of here in the office. It's if you think about man what they're doing, you grew a human being. Like if you just stop for a second and you just thought to yourself, man, the my fitness program, my nutrition program is 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 trying to take care of the most amazing system on the planet. That's really what I'm trying to do right there. You, it would humble us. It would humble us just a little bit. Okay, everybody, we're back. We're breaking down the Lord's Prayer from a standpoint of health. And so we just got into our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. That's we're really, really in reverence. We're really humble to this intelligence that is going on that's created us, right? Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And what the pastor said on Sunday was, who's going to do that will? Who do you think it is that's going to do that will that's going to be done? The people that are praying or the people who are just running around doing their own thing? If God was going to let his will be done on earth on as it is in heaven, who would be the people doing that? Well, that was so that was the first time I ever heard anybody say that. That broke it down exactly that way. I never heard anybody say that before, and I thought that was pretty cool the way you said that. Like, and so if we talked about thy will be done as on earth as far as our health goes, then who's it going to be? It's it's going to be the one who are taking action. It's not going to be the one who sit and pray and stay still. Not that there can't be miracles, but it's going to take action. A big thing about health is taking action. I remember when I was younger, going through my 30s and trying to figure out. We'd go to Bible study and we'd talk about just be you, and I that always trumped me. I didn't know what to. I didn't know what to do. Like, how do I do being? Right? How am I supposed to do being? What is it that I do during the day to be me? And it took me 20 more years really to figure that out. There's action steps. There's action steps to being healthy. There's action steps to being great. There's action steps to being worthless, I guess. You got to take action, right? So thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven is a saying like, look, if it's going to get done, who's going to do it? And I'm going to have to contribute. Me personally, I'm going to have to contribute to my health. I'm going to have to be the one that does it. I'm going to have to I'm going to have to decide that it's important, and then I'm going to have to take the steps to do it right there. Give us this day our daily bread. Like that we went through that we a few shows back when they were breaking down escaping from Egypt and going into the wilderness for 40 years, and every single day they got bread. They got enough bread to last them that day, the things that they were going to eat. And then the pastor, he said, I want to be thankful for the bread that I'm going to get today. I'm going to be thankful for the food that I get today. And then he just tripped it up. He was so close to being so perfect, and then he just tripped it up by allowing this little sentence to come in. He's like, I want to go ahead and be thankful for that chicken fry that I'm going to eat at lunch. I want to be thankful for those cinnamon rolls that I'm going to have for breakfast. I want to be thankful for and I'm like, oh man, that's not the direction we want to go, right? We definitely want to be thankful for the food that we get to eat, but let's grow up a little bit. Let's grow up a little bit with the food that we're going to eat. Let's stop this nonsense. This, Lord, I'm thankful for this crap that I'm eating. Like, I just can't imagine that the Lord is going to sit there and he is going to just be so happy for us to eat cinnamon rolls. Like, I have had more cinnamon rolls than anybody else, so I'm not throwing stones at cinnamon roll people. I love cinnamon rolls myself. But let's get serious for a second. I don't think that's the daily bread that we're talking about right there. If heaven drops bread down on us, then go ahead and eat all the bread that you want for the day. Eat what you need. But until then, let's be thankful for the food that we do get to eat, but let's be mindful of the food that we are eating, because I don't think all of it is equal. Some of that is going to mess us up right there. And forgive us of our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And that was a very humbling sentence for me when I was listening to that on Sunday, because it was like, okay, forgive us of our trespasses. Forgive me for the times that I've chosen to neglect my health. And let's forgive those who trespass against us. Let's forgive those who haven't gotten on the wagon quite yet. let's be patient. Let's have a little bit of patience, and I'll work on that personally myself. I'll see if I could do a better job this year working on having a little bit more patience with those people out there who haven't gotten onto the health and wellness kick yet, and see if I can work harder to make sure that I do a better job so that they can get on the wagon. Right? There's some trickiness that goes on right there, because sometimes it's the Pharisees out there that are jacking with us in our health. Sometimes it's the owners of those grocery stores that are sitting in those big old gigantic houses and driving those big old fancy cars, and they're not about to stop selling that crack that they're dealing over there, right? So there's a time where you got to deal with a crack dealer. As a health and wellness guy, get somebody has to be the one that will address those situations when they come up against those people who are making a living off you being sick. And there's a bunch of people who make a living off of you being sick. So I have to what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to have patience for those people that don't know. And I'm going to try to have patience for the people around me that don't quite understand, that just haven't quite gotten there yet. I'll work on that. I'll see if I can do better on that right there. But I'm also going to, I got to make sure that I have the strength to fight the battles that I need to fight, and I need to point out the things that people are doing to other people and making a living off of it, because there's a bunch of that stuff that's going on. And food manufacturers know it, and people that are making food, and the people that are selling sugar, and the people that are doing all that stuff, they know it, and it gets right up in the middle of their stuff. Now, hey, I'm just pointing it out to you, and you got to be the one that, if you own the company that's selling all the crack, then you got to be the one to decide whether or not what you're going to do about it. That's another story. But for those who are not quite there, I'm gonna try to be a little bit more patient right there for the people that are not quite there. Lead us not into temptation. So that's where the action part really takes place. The action part is helpful, and one of the things that the pastor said is he's talking about like it works upstream, like God's guidance works upstream. That's why one of the posts that I made was about health works upstream too. Your health will, if you will work on your health, and you will try to be healthier every single day this year, you will avoid temptations down the road. Your health will work for you. It will work upstream for you to help guide you away from some of those things that are taking you down, and that's a big deal. Um, if you're working on it, you're taking action on it. That's the big thing about health. There has to be action. You have to take action. You have to decide, and that's your why. We're going to get to that here in just a second. But you have to take action to move towards health. And if you will do that, if you will begin your exercise program, if you haven't already, if you will continue with your eating program, if you will do those things, your health will lead you not into temptation. It will save you and deliver you from evil. You will get away from the evil that comes along with the evil and the hell. Let's just take those two things and make them like that's it, evil and hell are synonymous with each other, right? That's that hell on earth that we create for ourselves when we get sick. That hell on earth that we create for ourselves, or is created for us, or gets created, whether we have anything to do with it or not. That hell on earth that gets created, it can be avoided if we are working towards being healthy. And that's a great sentence right there. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. There are evil forces working against our health. There are evil forces working against poor people. There are evil forces working against Mexican people. There are evil forces working against black people. That I can promise you that when you say, man, it's my culture. It's my culture, man. Like it's beans and rice. It's tortillas, man. What do you mean? Like you're not going to eat tortillas, right? It's my culture. No, it's not. It's not your culture to be sick. It doesn't. That is not how your culture is supposed to be. You're not supposed to be sick. The cells in your body are not any different than the cells in my body. The skin color has a little bit different pigmentation, but underneath that skin, I could skin you and skin me, and it would look like two skeletons. You wouldn't know the difference. If the muscles are the same look, the bones are the same look, the blood's the same look. That's a pigmentation issue in the skin itself. But once you get past the skin, the physiology of the cell are identical. There's no reason that any culture anywhere, maybe you have a slight predisposition to something, but it doesn't mean that you own that because you're just going to, if you did everything great, you'd still just be sick. No, I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. It's not any different than white folks saying that we're just meat potatoes guys. We're chicken fry guys. Like this, everybody that grows up in all these little bitty old towns, man. I've told you guys this before. One old farmer one time, or some old cowboy guy told me that vegetables were for homosexuals. I was like, okay, like that's an interesting sentence right there. Like, what are you talking about? Right? That doesn't even make any sense. That doesn't even make any sense. So there's a lot of cultural things that we have to deal with, but there's a lot of evil out there. And the way that you want to get away from that evil is to turn around and head up the hill. Find out what you can do that's the best thing that you could possibly do and set your sight on that. Make that your focus of your day. And if you're thinking about your health, what it will do is it will lead you away from hell. Those Reese's cups are hell. That's what they're doing. That they're leading me towards hell. And when I wasn't focused on my health, I was headed towards hell. I was headed towards disease. I was headed towards chronic disease. I was headed towards heart attack. I was headed towards not being able to live through a respiratory virus. There's a lot of problems that you don't even know that are down the road. That, man, when you just start doing healthy things and working out and doing all those things, it's like you just eliminate them. So lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Like we're saying that right there, but there's some big words in that sentence: the kingdom, the power, and the glory. The the kingdom means there is a king, and we are the heirs to the kingdom. So we should walk as an heir in the kingdom. Like straighten up a little bit. Like let's have some confidence in ourselves. Let's stop that nonsense of saying when someone asks you how you doing today, don't say better than I deserve again. Right? Skip that sentence. Better than you deserve. You deserve to be the heir to the kingdom. You deserve to be awesome today. You deserve that. That's part of the kingdom. And I'm not a prosperity minister. I'm just saying that we should walk around with it. It doesn't mean it doesn't come with responsibility and trials and tribulations and all that stuff. Yes, we know those things are going to happen, but I won't take them on as a champion. I'm not going to take them on as a defeatist. We could do that. The power. We've got power. You've got power to change your life. You've got power to change your health. You've got power to make your body better. You can do it. You just got to get into it. And that's where what the pastor was asking is he was saying, hey, look, would you just do this for 31 days? Would you pray this prayer and then just take the New Testament, take a scripture and pray that. Take a psalm and pray that whole book of Psalms. Take something right there and just do it for 31 days. Well, I think that same thing is something that we should do. And we're starting our journey together. We're starting at 2024. We got a new year in front of us. We can say to ourselves, hey, I think I'm just going to take this journey and I'm going to move this journey forward, and I am going to give myself some time. Now, if you'll give yourself 72 hours of quit eating sugar, you'll already start feeling better. Like, just decide right now. Don't even wait till tomorrow. It's 6:49. Just start right now and say to yourself, I'm just going to give myself, if you haven't already started your eating program, say, all right, I'm not going to eat any sugar for the next 72 hours. Look, does it, can you make it 72 hours? Can you just make it 72 hours by starting right now? Like, look, you've been doing it for years. I don't think 72 hours is going to hurt anything. I told my I told my East Texas cousin one time, hey, it's a 21-day detox. And he's like, 21 days? I can't eat my Bluebell ice cream for 21 days? And I was like, nope, you can't eat you got to stop for 21 days, right? Well, I'm going to say 72 hours. It will get you started. You'll feel the difference. In 72 hours, if you'll quit eating processed food, and what do you say? Well, what should I eat? Eat meat and vegetables. Eat chicken, eat turkey, eat beef, eat anything you want to eat. Eat fish. Just make sure that when you eat that, it's just eat grass-fed animals. Buy yourself some grass-fed animals and eat grass-fed animals. And then eat yourself some green leafy vegetables. Those are complex carbohydrates and they're good for you, and they'll do your body good. Eat you some green leafy vegetables. Uh, I don't care what somebody said. Throw away the broccoli. Throw away the spinach. I don't think that that's necessary. I get the argument. I get the argument. I can I can debate the argument with the whole create the stones and all that sort of thing. Look, I there's enough evidence on the planet to say that you can eat your green leafy vegetables, and then um, eat your nuts and seeds, nuts and berries. Eat your nuts and berries. Stay away from your seeds, really, but eat your nuts and berries. Eat nuts from a tree, and tree nuts, almonds, walnuts, macadamia nuts, pistachios, pecans, Brazil nuts. Those are all things that are fabulous from a tree. They're from a tree and they're good for you. Eat your berries, blueberries, raspberries, strawberries. Those are things that you can eat to get going right there. And then your fats, you want the good fats. You need your fish oil, and those are things you can use. Olive oil, as long as you don't get it to a hot temperature. Don't get it too high, and then it'll turn into a trans fat. The reason olive oil works great is because it takes a very high temperature to turn it into a trans fat. You don't want a trans fat. So you can just, as long as you're cooking at a lower temperature with that olive oil. If you need that, coconut oil is good for you. It's got those um, medium chain triglycerides that are good for your brain and the way that your body processes stuff. That's good too. Those are some things that you can get, and just try that for 72 hours. Try this for 72 hours and know that that's the kickoff, the kickoff to what you're going to do for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. Just give yourself a time frame, and you can say stay after it. And then when you get to the end of that time frame, I'm going to present for your consideration not to blow it. Just keep going right through it. Because once you do that, it took me about 4 weeks to clear all that stuff out. And once I cleared that stuff out, that then, man, it released me from it. It released me from thinking about it. It released me from craving something. I just needed to get by 4 weeks is what I needed to get by, and it released that craving. And so if you'll do that, give yourself some time, realize how powerful you are, realize what you're doing, and then when it comes to your exercise, that's another thing. If you just in your exercise, just humble yourself and just show up. If you don't have an exercise program, I'm really strongly recommending that you get one. We've got a few spots left here at the Rock Health and Wellness Center that we do our fitness program with. Like, find some place that you can work out in a group. Find some place that you can be accountable and have social interaction with your group. It's just so valuable to be able to do that. There's a lot of value. There's a lot of value in having a group that you work out with, because it'll keep you held accountable to it. If you're not a group person and you don't want to do that, and you at least find a way to keep yourself accountable to it. And if you've got it all figured out, you don't need to be listening to me anyway, right? Like, if you already figured this whole thing out, then you don't need the guidance from a show like this. So this is not, if you're some super athletic dude that eats organic and gets all your 8 hours of sleep and your body's rocking and all that sort of thing, then good job. Good job. You're doing it, you're handling it. But for the rest of us, I really think that's a valuable thing for us to do, is to create some sort of program like that where we're getting into it right now. This is the time of year, according to the calendar, if you want to do it. But when you go do it, just be humbled to what you're doing in the gym. Just go there with an attitude that of humility, and just say to yourself, look, I'm just going to move my body. I'm going to move my body. I don't care if my sweatpants match my shirt. I don't care if I'm wearing a cap or I'm not wearing a cap. I don't care if I look perfect or I don't look perfect. None of that matters. You don't have to look perfect in the gym in order to work out. You don't have to fix your hair. If you're a girl, just pull it back in a ponytail. Like, who cares? Like, no one. If you're going to the gym to get hit on, that's a different story. If you're trying to find a mate at the gym, then all right, fine. Get yourself all fancied up and go to the gym. But if you're going to the gym for health, then everybody in the gym that's working out with you should be working out for health. And so you don't need that nonsense distraction anyway. But when you go there, I just think there's a lot of value in going there and saying, look, I'm just going to show up. I'm going to let my trainer train me, and I'm just going to do to the best of my ability what I can. If I have any hesitation, if I have any anxiety about it, if I'm not sure, I'm just going to wrap it up in a big old ball. I'm going to take all that negative energy and I'm just going to wrap it up and I'm just going to push it forward. I'm just going to say, all right, I'm just going to use it as motivation to just get in there and just move your body. Because once you start to move your body, you will start to fire your brain properly. When you start to fire your brain properly, this becomes easier and easier. And the more you fire your brain, the easier this becomes. It's an amazing, amazing thing, the way that this all works together. Your nutrition is going to help you. You eat, the CrossFitters say you eat to work out and you work out to live. And if you start to work out and you're eating crap, you'll realize that your workouts are really bad. It's really hard to work out when you're not eating properly. And it doesn't take a whole lot to do that. And the one last thing that I want to mention before the show is over tonight is that you really have to find a reason. Right now, if you've already started, if you just said you're going to do your eating and exercise and health plan to start 2024, just because it's on the calendar, you're in danger. If you're doing it just because it's on the calendar and you didn't really work on your why, then you're setting yourself up for failure. It's not too late, but you gotta change your why. Because it's on the calendar is not a big enough reason. The statistics say that 68% of the people are going to stop within 2 weeks. So if you're already there, if you're already into the process and you haven't developed your why, you will quit in 2 weeks. You won't even make it to Valentine's Day, and you'll be eating cookies and stuff again. So you really want to find out what that thing is that drives you from the inside. What's that thing that's going to make you compete? What's that thing that's going to say that you're really going to say, man, this is what will get me going. My deal was not wanting to lose to Fauci and them that created that stupid virus that we went through. That's what really got me and really got me going and kept me going on this sugar thing for 22 months now. So that you got to find your why and then take some time, dedicate some time to it, and see what you can do for 2024. We will be back tomorrow night at 6. So I hope you guys have a great day tomorrow, and we will see you then. Let us know if I can help.